Before anything else, just notice that you've made it here. Out of everything happening in your day, you chose to pause. And right now, nothing is expected of you. The world can wait. Your thoughts can slow. And this moment can be yours. Imagine yourself drifting, not falling, not sinking, just gently floating, as if gravity has loosened its hold, and you're moving quietly through space, far away from noise, far away from urgency, where everything is calm and endlessly still. Tonight, we'll explore the universe together, slowly, softly, one quiet thought at a time. There's nothing you need to remember, nothing you need to hold on to. Just let the words pass through, like distant stars in the dark. So settle in. Let your breathing slow, and we'll begin drifting. As you continue to drift further into the quiet, it may feel like there is nothing around you, just darkness and distant light. But even here, in what seems like complete emptiness, space is not truly empty. On average, a single cubic meter contains only a few atoms, so spread apart that they could travel for long distances without ever touching. And yet, over enough time, even this near nothingness slowly interacts, quietly shaping what exists. As you drift further, you begin to notice how old everything feels. Some of the light around you has been traveling for billions of years, long before Earth formed, long before anything familiar existed. This light began its journey, moving through expanding space, stretching, changing, until it finally arrives, carrying with it a memory of the distant past. And even here, surrounded by darkness, there is still a temperature just above absolute zero, around negative 270 degrees Celsius. A faint warmth that exists everywhere, left over from the earliest moments of the universe. A quiet echo that has never fully disappeared. As your mind slows, you begin to notice that not everything you're drifting past belongs to a system. Some worlds move alone. Entire planets, not orbiting any star, drifting freely through the dark. There may be billions of them, silent, unlit, traveling slowly between distant points of light. And even what you cannot see still has an effect. Most of the matter that exists does not interact with light at all. It cannot be seen, but it still has gravity. It pulls, it shapes, holding entire galaxies together like an invisible structure, quietly supporting everything. As you continue drifting, the idea of motion itself begins to feel different. Even at constant speed, time is not exactly the same. Moving faster, even slightly, causes time to pass, just a little more slowly. A difference so small, it's almost impossible to notice, but always there, quietly changing everything. In some places, matter is pushed to extremes, compressed so tightly that space within it almost disappears. A single small amount could weigh more than entire mountains, spinning rapidly, holding together under forces we rarely experience, existing in a state that feels almost impossible. And still, even in all this stillness, space itself is not truly still. It is expanding, not into something else, but within itself. The distance between distant galaxies slowly increasing as everything drifts further apart, so gradually that it feels completely calm, even as it continues. Occasionally, something massive moves, and the movement is so powerful that it sends ripples through space itself. Tiny distortion, stretching, and compressing everything they pass through. These ripples travel silently across unimaginable distances, fading as they go. In every direction, there is also something faint, almost uniform, a soft signal, spread across all of space, not visible to the eye, but present everywhere, a leftover trace from a time when everything was much closer, much hotter, still quietly surrounding you. Even now, as your thoughts continue to slow, you begin to notice how little needs your attention. Each idea can simply pass by without needing to be held onto, like distant light, appearing briefly and then fading away. Your breathing becomes steady, slow, calm, and effortless. Your body feels heavier, more relaxed with each passing moment, and as everything continues to drift, quietly, endlessly, you can allow yourself to do the same. There is nothing to follow, nothing to solve, nothing to hold on to. Just soft movement through a quiet space where everything happens slowly. And as the last thoughts fade, you can simply drift deeper and deeper into rest. And as you continue to drift deeper into that quiet, something subtle begins to emerge. Not a sound, not a movement, but a sense that even stillness contains activity. In the space between everything, there are brief moments where particles appear and disappear again. Too fast to notice, too small to see, existing only for an instant before fading back into nothing. A quiet fluctuation, happening everywhere, all the time. And even though it feels like emptiness, it is never completely still. As you drift further, the scale of everything begins to stretch. Distances grow, beyond what can easily be imagined. Structures begin to form, not as solid shapes, but as patterns. Vast regions, where galaxies gather, connected by long, nearly invisible threads, and between them, enormous empty spaces, far larger than anything within them. These patterns extend across billions of light years, forming something like a web, stretched quietly across everything. And yet, from far enough away, it all appears still. As your thoughts continue to slow, the idea of direction begins to fade. There is no clear up, no clear down, just open space in every direction. And within that space, motion becomes relative. Everything moves, but there is no fixed point to compare it to. Only gentle drifting, measured quietly against other drifting things. And as you move, even slightly, the passage of time shifts with you. Not enough to feel, not enough to notice, but always changing in the background. In some distant regions, there are fields of energy stretching across vast distances, invisible but guiding the motion of tiny charged particles, bending their paths, curving their movement, creating slow, flowing patterns that shift over time. And occasionally, these fields become tangled, storing energy until it is released in a sudden but silent burst. Far away, entire systems can form and disappear over timescales so long they feel almost permanent. Clouds of gas slowly collapsing under their own gravity, becoming denser and denser until something new begins to take shape. And even then, the process remains slow, quiet, unfolding without urgency. As you continue drifting, the idea of beginnings and endings becomes less clear. Everything transitions, gradually, from one state into another, without sharp edges, without sudden stops, just continuous change happening quietly over time. And as you notice this, your own thoughts begin to follow the same pattern, appearing gently, then fading just as softly. No need to hold on to them. No need to follow them further. Just letting them pass, like everything else. Your breathing remains slow, steady, and calm. Your body feels heavier now, supported, relaxed, with nothing left to do. And as the quiet continues, stretching endlessly, you can allow yourself to drift even deeper, letting everything soften, letting everything slow, until there is only stillness and rest and quiet. And in that quiet, you can simply remain, drifting gently into sleep. And as you drift even further, beyond the familiar, the nature of emptiness itself begins to change. What once felt like nothing reveals something quieter and more complex. Even in the most empty regions, there are underlying fields, present everywhere, not made of particles, but capable of becoming them. These fields exist continuously, stretching through all of space, never turning off, never truly still. And occasionally, small fluctuations occur, a brief imbalance, where energy gathers, just enough to create something. For a moment, a pair of particles appearing and then disappearing again, almost instantly, borrowing existence from the quiet background before returning it. This happens constantly, everywhere, unnoticed. And even though each moment is brief, the effect is real. A subtle activity, hidden beneath what feels like stillness. As you continue drifting, the idea of space itself begins to soften. It may seem like a fixed stage, something everything moves through, but it is not separate. Space and time are connected, woven together into a single structure that can stretch, bend, and curve. When something with mass is present, this structure shifts, not by pulling directly, but by changing the shape of the space around it. And everything nearby simply follows that shape, moving along curves that feel straight from the inside. As you drift further, you begin to notice that even time is part of this structure, not separate, not fixed, but flexible, depending on where you are and how you move. In regions of stronger gravity, time slows more noticeably, not stopping, but stretching, like something gently pulled. And near extremely dense objects, the effect becomes so strong that from far away, time appears to nearly stop, moments lingering far longer than expected, while elsewhere, time continues at a different pace, a quiet separation between experiences, depending on position. As your awareness continues to soften, another idea begins to form, that what feels continuous may not be completely smooth. At the smallest possible scale, space itself may not be perfectly uniform. Instead, it may have a kind of structure at incredibly tiny distances, far smaller than anything directly observed. A scale where the usual rules begin to blur, where positions are uncertain and motion cannot be defined precisely, where even the concept of location becomes less clear. And in this quiet uncertainty, possibilities exist until something interacts and a single outcome appears, not chosen in a visible way, but emerging from many potential states. As you drift further still, the idea of observation itself begins to feel different at very small scales. Simply interacting with something changes it, not dramatically, but enough to alter what is happening, a quiet influence built into the nature of things. And even though this happens constantly, it remains invisible, hidden beneath larger patterns. As your thoughts slow even more, the boundaries between ideas begin to soften. Space, time, matter, energy, all connected in ways that are not always obvious, transforming, shifting, without clear edges or final forms. And within all of this, everything continues, without urgency. No need to rush, no need to finish, just ongoing, quiet change. As these deeper ideas pass through your mind, you don't need to follow them. You don't need to understand them fully. They can simply appear and then drift away, like everything else. Your breathing remains slow, steady, calm. Your body fully relaxed now, supported, with nothing left to do. And as everything continues, quietly, endlessly, you can allow yourself to drift even deeper, letting each thought soften, letting each moment fade until there is only stillness and rest and quiet. And within that quiet, you can simply drift gently into sleep. And as you continue to drift even further beyond familiar ideas, the concept of time itself begins to loosen, not just slowing, but becoming something that does not need to be followed at all. In many ways, what we experience as time is simply a direction, a gradual movement from one state into another, a process shaped by change. And by the way, energy spreads out. This slow spreading is always moving forward, from more ordered to less ordered, from concentrated to dispersed, a quiet tendency that affects everything at every scale. Even here, in the stillness of space, this process continues. Energy slowly dispersing, becoming more evenly spread over unimaginable lengths of time. And because of this, time feels like it moves forward, not because it must, but because everything else quietly shifts in that direction. As you drift further, the idea of boundaries begins to fade. There is no clear edge, no outer wall, no place where everything stops. Instead, there are limits to what can be observed. A horizon, not of space itself, but of what can be reached by light. Beyond that horizon, there may be more, continuing endlessly, in all directions. But those regions remain, forever out of view, not hidden intentionally, but separated by distance and by time. As space continues to expand, some distant regions move away faster than light can travel toward them, not because they are moving through space, but because space itself is stretching between them. And over enough time, entire galaxies slowly fade from view, their light becoming too stretched, too faint, until they disappear into the quiet background. As you continue drifting, the structure of reality itself begins to feel less solid. What once seemed like empty space begins to feel more like a fabric, something that can bend, stretch, and respond to what exists within it. And at scales too small to see, this fabric may not be smooth at all. It may fluctuate slightly, constantly, with tiny variations appearing and disappearing in ways that cannot be predicted exactly. A kind of underlying motion beneath everything else. And within this motion, there are possibilities, not fixed outcomes, but ranges of what could happen until something interacts, and one possibility quietly becomes real. As your awareness continues to soften, the idea of dimensions begins to shift. The space you experience feels three-dimensional: length, width, height. But some theories suggest there may be more, additional dimensions, folded in ways that are difficult to perceive, hidden not because they are far away, but because they are structured differently, curled or compact, existing at scales too small to be directly experienced. And if they are there, they may influence everything in ways that are subtle but constant. As you drift further still, the future begins to stretch out across unimaginable time, far beyond anything familiar. All stars will slowly fade, their energy used, their light diminishing until fewer and fewer remain. Galaxies grow darker over trillions of years, and eventually only faint remnants continue drifting, matter becoming more spread out, energy more evenly distributed, a slow approach toward a state where very little changes at all, not an ending, but a quiet settling, where differences become smaller and motion becomes harder to notice, as everything reaches a kind of balance over vast stretches of time. And even in that distant future, the quiet continues. No urgency, no need to change, just stillness, extended across everything. As these ideas drift gently through your mind, you don't need to hold on to them. You don't need to understand them completely. They can simply pass, like distant light, fading slowly into the background. Your breathing remains steady, slow, calm, your body fully relaxed, supported, with nothing left to do. And as everything continues, without effort, without urgency, you can allow yourself to drift even deeper, letting each thought soften, letting each moment stretch until there is only quiet and stillness and rest. And within that quiet, you can simply drift gently into sleep.